start the recording. Now we can start. Thank you all for coming.
Okay, so let's see. Can you establish?
Yes, I will go ahead and do that. Commissioner O'Reilly.
Here.
Commissioner Nagao.
Here.
Commissioner Vice Chair Cohen.
Here.
And Commissioner Buckholz.
Here.
We do have a quorum of 4 commissioners present.
Okay, the first item on the agenda. Public comments are not on the agenda.
Yes, and we do have a public comment card, one, and that is Jim Wing. And I will go ahead and set the timer for 3 minutes.
Sure. For the record, I'm Jim Wing, a 56-year resident of Milford. We pedestrians have safety problems, but we don't have a voice for senior pedestrian problems. And you, as a commission, can actually probably fill that role. The role would be a simple task. Simply go ahead and set an agenda item for the next meeting and for the next 4 meetings, repeating. And then basically all you're going to do is to listen to comments. People like me, like you all walk. I mean, you see safety issues, short little note. So therefore there will be a list where and terse note. And then before February, because that's when the public works directors start working on budget / what projects will be done next year, next fiscal year. Basically, if you get it to them, through whatever the proper channels are, to Aida and Woodon are the 2 public works directors for. So now.
Excuse me, could you speak up a little bit? We're having a little trouble hearing you.
I'll give you a try. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, we seniors are the majority of walkers on our streets. In front of my house, there's 100 pedestrians per day, and of that, more than 50% are seniors. And I think that's true all around on our residential streets. Now, the Complete Streets Commission, now I have attended the last 10, and I've gone ahead and presented 1 pedestrian item, sometimes with letters at each meeting. My batting average is 100, and it would be 0. But one of the items, the county airports and roads funded and did it. In fact, they did it within 3 weeks. So, but for Complete Streets, they didn't even keep track. At the last meeting, one person said, "We better keep track of these." And well, okay, I go for another year. But keep in mind that Complete Streets, if directed by council, is to focus on safe routes to school and the Complete Streets Master Plan. Now, the Complete Streets Master Plan has a bias to safe routes to school and cyclists. You see that in your ranking projects. Now, many of our issues are already in the plan, but they're only a dot on a map. And then there's 4 pages of these things, dots are listed, and you just, no visibility at all. Nobody knows they're there. So if you can pick up this, it's something you could do, and you never know. When you get on the agenda, you never know who may show up. And I'm sure you all have some to add to the list. Yeah, whether it's long or short, it doesn't matter. As long as we have a voice and are able to get something done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can I ask a question? Is that allowed?
You can ask a question, yes.
What are the clarification? What are the kinds of solutions to these issues?
Okay.
Could you just be specific on 2 streets?
Okay, now, keep in mind, we're not asking you to do any solutions at all. The solutions can only be done by Public Works. And it
Right,
takes a
but
big,
I'm interested in knowing what is the nature of the solutions.
okay, a couple of, just for example, okay, Red Berry, there on Main Street, there is a, mid-block, there's some crosswalk. City has not responded to any request to go ahead and with striping, enhance that crosswalk. If you walk across it, even when there, you can barely see the markings, and cars can't see it approaching. And see, maybe going Cuesta, if you cross Cuesta across San Antonio, there's a light. And if some of us walk slow, basically, the light doesn't allow us to get all the way across. But there are a technique called adaptive crosswalks. They're on Foothill Expressway right now. The expressway is way ahead of Los Altos, but that can be done. You can make it adaptive, and basically what happens is the walk sign is held until you reach the curb. There are 2 cameras watching you as you walk. So it's things like that. Some of these are simple. You get into phase shift of the traffic signal lights, that gets complicated and costs money.
Thank you.
Some of these
Thank
don't.
you, thank you very much. Okay. So the next thing is, the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Another thing with public comments.
Yeah, we went a little bit out of order, but that's okay. Yeah, that's okay.
So items for consideration are next. Number 1 are the minutes. Let's look at the minutes. Okay. I'll make a motion.
I can make a motion to accept the minutes.
A second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Number 2. Senior Commission Health Fair.
So I will speak on behalf of Commissioner Dixit, because both included in the packet again are the notes that she put together from the research that she did. And then my report is a brief summary of at least where the discussion was. So at the last meeting, we had a brief discussion, and it was decided that the commission wanted to have a discussion this meeting, and then in addition to November, so that the commission could get information and attend the event that would be held on October 16th. And so the hope is to review the notes that Chair Dixit put together, and then make a determination as far as what elements and things that the senior commission might be interested to see for a senior commission supported health fair. And I think timing wise, we were looking at sometime in 2025.
In the spring.
Yeah, and that could be part of the discussion as far as the timing
I'm gonna
goes.
start that today.
Mhm. Yeah, so beginning the conversation.
So we are gonna have the opportunity to visit on October and work at Fair Grant Park, which is great. And we have another kind of I don't know when to put it in, but we have a motion on the floor that we didn't, I thought it went through last time, but apparently it wasn't formalized. And that is the senior commission wanted to be recognized on the flyer for the Grant Park. And when I saw the new version, it's not. So can we make a formal motion about that so that we can be included on this flyer?
So timing wise, it's a little bit interesting. So again, the item itself was an informational item on August, so it wasn't an actionable item. As far as the items for this, that's not on the agenda to make, or at least for items for consideration. So specifically for this, it is discussion on the health fair that you are interested in doing. So it's not specific to the event on October
So
16th.
then how can we get it on then? There won't be time because October's coming next month.
So if it was something that the commission wanted to do, we would have to do another special meeting before
So you can't fit it in anywhere on the agenda today.
because it hasn't been noticed.
It has to what?
It hasn't been noticed, so again,
To bring it today, I thought it was just the fair that we. I think the issue that I'm having with the whole thing is that I don't want to see us as two different entities, it's like we're one. And,
Actually, two different, sorry, which,
I'm sorry?
which are the two different entities you're talking about?
Well, the fairs in general, I mean, the work that's gonna be a grant, you know,
So,
I don't,
okay.
You can endorse,
it's not real, I'm sorry?
you can endorse the one that's coming on. Yeah, I think that's what we would like to do, is see this as a senior commission endorsement
Right.
of the fair.
Right, and yeah, because the senior commission is the umbrella over both locations, so I don't really see it as that different. The fact that we're gonna have a second health fair and the location's gonna be here, it's really under the same auspices, you don't see it that way?
so it doesn't necessarily have to be, and the best example I can think about is that it is something that, as an example, the Parks and Rec Commission is assisting with one of the events, our Halloween movie night. That was an actionable item at the last commission meeting. And so again, but that was something that the commission actually did vote on. And so at least at the last meeting, the discussion was specific to at least the health fair that the senior commission wanted to do. We can, if that is something that the commission wants to do, we would then have to do a separate, because again, it is not on the agenda, and we should really be specific on what the agenda topic is at the moment, which is the senior commission health fair, based upon the report that Commissioner Dixit put together.
So we had quite a bit of discussion last time about that in trying to clarify the two different fairs, and it sounded to me at that time that they want to be identified as two different fairs, when in fact there's a fair going to be here and there's a fair going to be at Grant Park, which to me they should be relative, they should be sister fairs. So it should be endorsed in the same level on both sides.
So I think between the two, again, between the two different events, at least the one here, it was never fully voted upon by the senior commission that one is going to happen again in 2025. That's what's on the agenda today, to discuss and look at the logistics and things based upon what Commissioner Dixit put forward. So to your, at least a little bit of a clarification, the one on October 16th is absolutely happening. We haven't fully determined if another one is going to be planned for 2025. That's part of the discussion for this one, because it was never a full motion or decided upon that the senior commission wanted to do an additional health fair next year. Yes.
Can I make a motion that the senior commission will hold a health fair in the year 2025? Is that
Yes.
okay? Is that kosher?
Make it.
I so move that the senior commission shall have a health fair in 2025.
another healthcare.
Well,
Okay.
yes, however,
Yeah,
whatever
And I
word
can
you want to
second
put in
that.
front of it.
so we
So
have
we have to
a
vote.
motion and a second.
Correct.
And I'll call for the vote. All in
Yes.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
I don't think we need the others because it's unanimous that we have health there in 2025. So then,
Can we proceed then to the nature of the health fair in terms of the actual events?
Yes, that is that's the
Okay.
intent of this, of the discussion, yes.
So I'd like to, first, the question of who is the audience?
And that would be upon what you would like to do, what kind of outreach, who you would like to specify that you would like to include.
So we determine the focus of the audience to be reached.
Absolutely, or it could be varying elements that you would like to, differing elements that you would like to see. So whether it was focused upon those that maybe needed, maybe potentially caregivers that might need additional resources or information. Absolutely. So it can be open and you can have different amenities or elements there to be more inclusive, depending on who you would like the audience to be.
I think we should discuss who we wish to reach with this 2025. Now,
so you're moving off the topic of this now?
we are on the topic of the second,
2025,
yes, 2025.
okay.
So whom do we wish to reach?
Well, wouldn't you want the general population,
General
The
public?
general, it's for seniors,
right?
and it's related to health and wellness, we can have a little bit different
Families
title.
will be involved in.
So this would be focused on our peer group.
Exactly. Exactly, and broader than that.
So I think the one thing that's gonna narrow it down is that it is a Wednesday afternoon or morning, late morning, so you're gonna hit most of
This one you're talking
Yeah,
about,
this
yeah.
one. There's gonna be mostly families that aren't working, or part of the family that's working, and the senior citizens. So it looks like it's gonna be pretty much focused on seniors' needs, cares.
Hence the name.
Yes. Hence
Yeah,
the-
all the vendors are related to senior and health, so it's general, but they're, it's a wide variety of vendors that are going to be at this fair. And, I
Well,
think,
let's go by figuring out the timing first of the health fair, which will determine the audience. And then go to the details of what actually happens on that day.
what about having a date? We're ready to.
What the time of day and day of the week seem critical to
If
the,
it's broader than seniors, it needs to be on a Saturday.
and because seniors
If
have
it is broader.
other family members younger than they are. The caregivers generation. They should be included as part of the audience.
So
But we have not determined a date for next year.
No, and my suggestion there is at least use of this building. What I can go ahead and do is if you pick a general time frame, let's say month, then as staff, we can look at potentially what dates are feasible and what are currently available. And so we can come back to finalize a specific date, but you can look at general time frame and time or days that you would like to
So
focus on.
Would we want to have some of the health fair outdoors?
well, this facility offers that easily.
Indoor, has plenty of room indoor.
Indoors.
Grant Park might be something that's gonna be, but I think we're pretty much working on the
So-
logistics, keeping Grant Park.
Can-
Oh, that's right, I'm
She's
sorry, we're
on,
talking
she's
about.
on them.
We're on 2025.
Depends whether it's spring or fall.
Well, I'm
And
just
the
kind
weather,
of-
you know,
yeah,
so it could
so
be.
If we wanted to have outdoors, it should be the time of clement weather.
Of nice weather, yeah, but we can predict that.
If you,
We'd love to be able to predict that.
absolutely, for outdoor, generally speaking, I will say even spring. If you wanted to target the spring, my suggestion would be to keep it indoor. Just because that time frame can sometimes be unpredictable, as
All
far
year.
as. Yeah, absolutely. Whereas if you wanted to have outdoor, which as Commissioner O'Reilly specified, the community center absolutely lends itself to indoor, outdoor. But summer/fall might be a better time frame if you wanted that type of dynamic for the event.
Would a Thursday, you know, the once a month we have a luncheon here, would that be a good day of the week and time to have the luncheon? People are already here, and we might attract more people to come.
That's brilliant.
No, but so I'm just gonna share my input.
Yeah,
You want the both, when people come to the fair, they need time to set up. You're already putting heavy burden,
couldn't be.
city staff regarding setting up. We gotta be considerate. So when you want a fair, you want to focus on just the fair.
It was just an idea thrown.
And I'm just sharing my thoughts.
That's the logistics.
So
You may wanna consider Saturday. Said, whether it's in all open to broader or just seniors. You might wanna consider Saturday so more people can attend. If you're gonna
Well,
hold it
the,
here.
the network of people who are involved in seniors' lives goes from adult children to grandchildren. So a weekend,
Yeah, I think the weekend would be
so a Saturday
appropriate.
in the spring,
Agree with that, because the vendors don't wanna come on a Saturday. They wanna come during the week, is when they work, but, you
I
know,
think that we could probably persuade some vendors to come. I have one vendor of the Silicon Valley Senior Roundtable, which is made up of for profit organizations and vendors. And I think that the nature of that would lend itself to having weekend service.
but they're all for profit, you're saying.
That particular organization,
Yeah,
the,
You're not committed to a date. You can provide some options. Staff can look into it, such as a Saturday or Friday. And direct staff to consider looking at dates and see what.
we don't
What-
have overall caliber of your activities for the year.
No, and so
You need a
that's.
break so that you're, you know, it can be pasted into your main calendar.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
again, if you hone in on general time frame, so if you highlight whether you want a weekday or a weekend. And then general time frame, did you want kind of more during the day or did you want late afternoon? Those general parameters would be helpful to kind of determine and then we can look at what is available.
Ask Jamie a question, the vendors that are coming in October. So wouldn't that be a nice like time to be able to ask them, you know, pick their brains and say, are they going to be the same ones that would be coming next year?
Potentially, yes, or it could be, size wise, the Grand Oak Room, and we do have additional, obviously, this space, we could make it, you know, slightly larger or even have some of the vendors over in, like Sycamore over in the, adult 50+ rooms here. So there's, we're not necessarily tied to just the Grand Oak. It could be slightly larger if we get more vendors or interest. Absolutely.
Speakers.
Correct. So, and that's something that you can absolutely decide and determine what elements you want to have. So there could be a space dedicated to, you know, having smaller presentations or workshops versus a space where it's just a walkable space where people could just pick up information about different vendors. So that is absolutely something that the commission can determine if that's what we would like to see at the event.
The idea of workshops with speakers. Because that allows us to focus on specific unmet needs.
Which you'll see in the action plan. We're gonna have a lot of new data coming out of the action plan that we can incorporate. Organizing structure and everything is gonna come
What
out.
happens is, we set up a subcommittee. The subcommittee is the one that reaches out to all these agencies and works with the agencies. I mean, you'll have a template because this fair in October have been conducted. So fortunately, Chris will have the vendors that have been, will be participating in October, and you can continue to expand on that. So, you know, Grant Park is a very small venue. So there's room for growth opportunity here. That's why, you know, having it at Hillview is a great option.
Right, because it's important not to have it near all the holiday times, you know, moving up towards holiday and after. And in the spring, we have them, and the October day is actually look like a really good
And
day.
ideally, you have time to attend other fairs. So you get some ideas and opportunities to outreach.
So let's get back to this committee thing. So right now, we have a subcommittee of Shrubbery, one person. That's not gonna work. We're gonna need to have, you know, a team of people that are working on this. So we're gonna update the work plan and do all kinds of stuff. It could be a
Correct. So-
separate whole item.
So this year is coming to a close, so we will be putting together a new work plan in October, November of this year. And so with that being said, Age Friendly will be concluding at the end of this year, so that will free up other members. And if we are talking about spring or maybe summer, fall of next year, there is ample time to create a subcommittee, as Councilmember Lean mentions, that we can target creating a new subcommittee, ad hoc subcommittee at the start of maybe next year, 2025, to work on securing vendors. So this is more laying the kind of the template that the subcommittee can then start working on, possibly at the beginning.
So far, how many months ahead will we have this work plan finished and moving on to the next that will?
So we're pretty much at the tail, we're close to the tail end because
She's working at-
correct, the annual timeframe, so when new commissioners will be joining will be in the October timeframe. And so essentially the work plan should represent October through September of 2025. So we're getting close to the tail end of this work plan.
So dates in March or April seem like good targets.
That could be, absolutely.
I don't see on my calendar here any,
Easter, Passover, we can't do it, so we have to know those dates. Yeah, there's spring holidays we'll have to attend to also, stay away. And there's spring break and there's, you know, all the different schools have it. It's crazy.
No, absolutely. And so those are all good things to consider. Again, there is, at least for a school time frame, there is usually the break in February. Spring break tends to be roughly in the sometimes late March, early April timeframe. And then past that, there's also the Easter holiday. Our department does do a spring egg hunt. Yeah. Yeah. food for thought, May.
Try to stay away from them.
Yes, and so as you're kind of talking about time frame, May is actually Older Americans Month. So that could be something, and that is May sometimes can be nicer. I only say that with the question mark because sometimes you never know. But that could be something only from my time working for the city of Milpitas, and with their senior center, they sometimes did a fair in the May timeframe because it was Older Americans Month. So that could be something to consider.
When's Easter?
20th.
So it's just at the tail end of Passover, so it's the same week. More or less.
So it's sounding like the commission, at least consensus from what different commissioners are saying, is kind of maybe the late springtime. So staff can kind of look at that time frame. Doesn't quite seem to be consensus as far as day of the week or timing. So is there?
And midday,
I don't think we're gonna
What about the
decide that
Saturday?
today.
Are Saturdays pretty well booked?
So that's something that we could take a look at, and I'm sure we could potentially find a Saturday that might work. So that's something, if that is kind of consensus, we want to look at kind of midday Saturday.
this building is closed on Sundays.
So any day of the week could potentially be available. So the we run classes, people can rent the facility, so we are open actually 7 days a week if it is rented or there are classes going on.
So you have to think about doing it in the middle of the day.
Church
Afternoon,
time,
because
people go
a
to
lot of
church.
people will
Yeah.
be.
Religious.
Actually, can I provide some suggestions?
Lynette, go
In my experience attending senior affairs, and I've never seen a senior fair held on a Sunday. So also, we do want to be considerate, once again, to when we need staff assistance.
Yeah. I understood that. Exactly. Yeah. When, I'm trying to get the timing here. When we're gonna be able to have a subcommittee working on this, what month would that start, would you think? And how much time will they have before, let's say, this May, the May time that we have there? How many months ahead will we have to work on it?
Probably in January is when.
So it's gonna be 4 or 5 months that we'll
Correct.
have. Okay, so that's quite a bit of time. I really don't think we should make too many decisions today. That's my opinion, because, we're just shooting the breeze, actually. I don't know how to exactly say that, so in a sophisticated way, but, we're just like throwing stuff out and it's
Treating.
it's not organized.
Some questions, what could we be looking at? What kinds of, like, what somebody mentioned, we've got 4 school districts that we cover. There's, half of South Los Altos is the Cupertino, Fremont Union High School District, and you got Los Altos Elementary, and then Mountain View Los Altos High
And they're
School
all
District.
different dates.
I don't know when their breaks are, and it's unlikely they'll coordinate.
Yeah, what you're gonna direct staff to do is bring back suggested dates that you would consider. Like,
Find out.
yeah, like which Saturday, which Fridays are available. We think these dates are great, whether you want a weekday, which weekday do you want? That's the direction you provide them. At the next meeting, they'll bring back some suggested dates.
What is the date of new commission members?
So the hard part is that I believe, so your meeting is the first Monday. And October, that is a very quick turnaround between when potentially new commissioners will be appointed and chosen. So I think the hope is that we will have them, but our There, actually, you know what, take that back, it is October 7th, I think. Yes, so there is some time, so the anticipation is that they would be starting in October. Cause that's theoretically when the new terms begin.
By council. as
Correct,
well.
no, absolutely, that's the only part that, yes, and so commissioners are sworn in and with a number of commissioners, commissions getting new commissioners as well. The hope is that it will be the first meeting in October, but it could be that their first meeting is not until November. Correct. So it, but it's in the October,
They
November.
have the handbook presentation before their first meeting.
That is the anticipation. They're provided all of those resources. Staff usually takes the time to meet with new commissioners as well when they are, when they come on board to a new commission. So that usually we try and set that up before their first meeting.
Days. Okay, so. Well, it's just one, but they're, even if they're on board, they're gonna be so full of everything, trying to get everything pulled together. And we said we weren't gonna really talk about it, November's the next day, it's gonna be agendized.
Correct.
This day and then November, so it's not gonna be October.
Correct,
Yeah.
because that our October meeting would be before the event on the 16th. So that's why the next agenda topic for this would be in November so that it could be just feedback from that event could be incorporated into the discussion.
What else do you want? Does anyone else have anything else to add to this?
I think there's in general structure. I certainly like the idea of breakout workshops where people can attend that.
Beyond that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it would be.
Um,
I also think that something should drive the vendors and the work that we do that day, the speakers and whatever else. And part of in my mind, the structure would come out of the action plan. Because we're gonna follow the unmet needs from that. And then depending on what they are, we wanna be sure that we highlight those in the talks or in the vendors that come, make sure that we do that. I mean, data's gotta drive the decisions. We can't just, be all over the map. But we do wanna hit the main things and, there's quite a few organizing structures that you can find for developing a senior health fair. And I think we should use them. The subcommittee that's gonna work on this would pick one or two or some combination of it. So that, because you can easily miss a category and, we don't wanna make a mistake. We want it to be terrific. So I don't think we can make too many decisions today, my personal opinion. Does anybody think you can? We can?
I think we're gonna learn a lot from the first one, and then take that and build it.
So, does anybody else have anything that they wanna add on this?
but want to make sure that the decisions, whatever size decisions, are recorded and allowing continue talking about each meeting.
So you wanted a rolling thing on agenda, put it on the
Yeah.
agenda for
Yeah,
every
that's
meeting
good.
going forward so that we can touch on it and see what's happening, because the sooner the subcommittee can be formed, the better, because then we have more time to get it all pulled together. So that's a timing thing that it's not clear to me when it's actually gonna be yet. You said something, but I wasn't really sure if that was,
The beginning of the year, January.
so it'd be January, it would be the January meeting, you think? Okay, and if we have the fair, that gives a nice amount of time, actually.
It does, and I guess the only other piece, it is good to have some of those parameters set, at least to solidify the date and time. Again, use of this building, at least weekend wise. It tends to get, the time tends to get, correct.
See how May looks and, you know, are there openings that might be appropriate for us? We could just say May, you think that's a good.
No, so it, again, the generalities so that we know what we're looking for. So again, if we're okay with weekend, if we're okay with midday, we can look at, staff can look at the timing of what options might be available. Cause the solidifying that date would be helpful. Just so that we can then reserve the time and make sure that it's not taken up by a private rental or a class is scheduled or something like that. And then it also will give the ad hoc subcommittee, once it's formed, it will have a specific date and time so that then that outreach and we can start, that ad hoc subcommittee can start working on securing, vendors or speakers or, things like that. So that having the date and time is probably the first part that you want to solidify.
The date, the exact date, we don't know, but you're talking about the timing, would Saturday be good, would an afternoon
Correct,
be
so
good?
just so that staff knows then, you know, what dates to look at, and then, at the November meeting, we can come back and say, okay, here are some options, we could look at April and May, even go a little bit further out, and then.
I'm sorry, I mean, October, put it May, put it May. The weekend, that's the end of the month. And some schools are finished then. Is that true? I'm not gonna pick a date. I think.
No, so you don't have to say a specific date, I just need to know
The day of the week.
day of the week. And it sounds like you want to target the spring, or would you be open to later? I know this, the one in October is planned for October. Did you want to go further out? Yes, so it could, I mean, that's something that I don't need a specific date. Cause obviously that'll be depending upon what's available, but I just need to know if it's a weekend, Saturday. Or kind of the time frame. Are you looking midday, like a 10 to noon? Or did you want later in the afternoon, kind of like a 1 to 3? That general information would be helpful to look at. Sometimes, yes.
So we have to have those things that, if there are openings and we say we want this, then we book it.
Correct.
Correct.
Another event can't be planned then.
That is correct.
So
Correct.
like earlier you said, I would prefer a weekday because you were concerned about having it on a weekend. But yet you could say, bring back some Saturday dates, bring back the calendar, which Saturdays are open. And then bring back the calendar on which day of the week you would like. And then they'll bring back at the next meeting the dates that are available, and then you can better choose from there.
So you suggesting that we do it for this coming May or next, that following October, or maybe both? That they would bring
Why
back,
don't you
what,
just bring back from May to October, and that'll give you a broad range to select. So you're not limited to those 2 months, and then you guys can have time to see who's willing to work on it, who will put in the time to reach out to the agencies. You know, and then also you can see whoever's volunteering on the subcommittee. You never know what their lives are like.
right?
And what commitments.
Who they're gonna- who they're
Yeah,
gonna
and
be,
which,
anything.
you know, and if they feel that perhaps later in the year might benefit them, you're giving them the option.
So could you bring back May and November, October of the next year, through May, through, but we're not gonna do it, we'll do it June through the summer.
Just
You never know.
say what's open.
You never- Just gotta see what's open, does that May, October, then you're gonna send them back another, and then come back the following month. Just bring the options.
Decision, that's the. We don't have the people that are gonna actually work on it doing.
Yeah, but
Well, but that's gonna
Give
be.
them some idea. Okay, would that be okay with you to bring that?
Yes,
back?
again, the commissions, it sometimes is a rolling, a group of people. And so, again, to give basic parameters.
Just suggestion.
Correct. Correct. Okay, so, planning for at least, in November, we can incorporate, feedback from the event in October, and then staff will bring back options, for Saturdays, and then is there a weekday that you want to also see options for, or do we mainly want to concentrate on the weekend?
I think that having the adult children of seniors available as a working age. That's the caregivers, it's important.
Sure.
So weekend, Saturday, strikes me as having best access for the groups who will be most affected by what is taught or presented at this health fair.
We can also gather more data when we go to the October one and see who comes. If it's only seniors, if it's caregivers, and how many. But I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
We just heard you earlier, Jane, that you were concerned about having it on a weekend, so we wanted to address both parameters and just broaden the parameters. So when staff looks at dates, they can bring everything forward that you wanted, and then you wouldn't be so limited. And then also what happens is if the weekends are booked that you would like in the months, you'd also like to
So we
be,
have plan B.
yes.
I think we shouldn't have it on Wednesdays or Mondays because Grant Park is busy those 2 days and we don't want to take away from who could possibly come. So that eliminates 2 days right there. So. And Fridays, I don't know. I'm just thinking Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesday or Thursday.
Yes.
Friday, people are already, planning their out of town or whatever they're doing, And
Yes,
staff also. So some staff work 4 days a week and they work 4 10s and they work Friday or they work Monday or whatever. So I just think, what do you think about Tuesday or Thursday, looking at those?
okay, so I will add those to the parameters and then we will bring back date options with those in.
One of the priorities I would have is making this easy for staff. Because
Yeah.
really
Keep it on a weekday.
structure that moves.
But we can try.
But so to whatever extent the staff needs should be considered and potentially influence our decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And that will be, we will absolutely include that with the options that we bring forward.
What about budget for the event? How is that?
No, absolutely. So that's something that, especially if we look at, so obviously, that is something as far as program for our adult 50+ program, we do have some flexibility if we option or we look at something that falls after the July timeframe, we will have the ability to include it in the budget process when we start that in the February-March timeframe of next year. So that is something that we can also bring forward so that we know what that looks like.
Please you put that in for
Mhm.
consideration.
Correct.
Yeah, because could be a good expense. I'm not sure how much, but it could be.
It just depends on what types of things you want to have.
Staff
Yeah.
have to, if we need more staff, then they have hours and they need to be paid a little bit extra. I don't know what's.
No,
It could
absolutely.
be, it could
And
be
we
staff
will-
time, and it could be a lot of different factors.
Correct.
Yeah, personnel and stuff.
Can we arrange for 50+ to be co-sponsors, co-originators of this health fair?
Yes.
Signed up, Chris. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we made a little progress. We got
did.
months and we got 6 weeks.
Yes.
And a little bit about budget and about maybe, there and speakers around there, having to do with certain topics as options. Yeah, and we just need to be sure that we're comprehensive in the planning and that, we cover all the services.
No, absolutely. And that is, if you do look at the notes that Chair Dixit submitted, that absolutely can be included with the future subcommittee that is created to work on some of those. That could be included as well.
I'm sorry.
Correct.
Yeah, I'll tell you the truth, I read this, that's the problem with a one-person committee. Yeah, it's biased towards things that she was familiar with, people, doctors she happened to know. It's just not rounded, and I'd like to base it on data that's legitimate and, scholarly. And we're gonna have a lot of that out of the action, that moving, things. Even if there isn't a super need, at least the major things, the categories are gonna come in. And we know the major categories, I have them all written down, but anyway, so. I think she worked hard on it, but I mean, it is hard for one person to figure this out.
I think it's great on me.
Any other comments about this topic? Can we move on? Oh, can we bring up the last thing one more time? I'm just really concerned that we're not, the senior commissioner is not on this flyer. Is there any way that we could put on this flyer, the senior commission as a co-sponsor of this event? Or in some way acknowledge that we're existing here? Could you find out if there's any
How about
possible
just give
way?
me a rubber stamp?
It's George Stephen.
Or if we have to have a special meeting, could we have a telephone special meeting?
So, no, unfortunately, that's not something that you would be able to do. And so I will follow up to see, but in between now and then, if that is something, in order for the commission, again, as I described for Parks and Recreation and how they are co-hosting that was something that they actually voted upon. I would have to follow up and determine if that is possible.
I don't, could you do that for us, Jamie?
Sure.
Because we really, we really feel like we're being left out, and we thought we clarified it last meeting, and it wasn't clarified, obviously, so. That was probably our fault, we didn't make a formal motion, however. We'd love it to happen.
You have to make a formal motion.
We'll make it now, formal motion, that you look into it for us.
So that's. What I can do is look into it, but again, what's actually voted upon in the meeting should be an agenda topic for items for action. And so that's not something that again is on the agenda. What was specific that we just finished was your commission health fair. I will follow up and get back to the commission as far as what those next steps could be.
Okay, let's go on to the next topic. Okay, the work plan. Let's see. Yeah, I think I have my notes before you said that we're gonna be changing the work plan as of a certain date. When the action plan gets delivered or accepted by the council, is that when we'll be doing it?
No, that is correct. So as you can see at the top, this is your 2023-2024.
Yeah.
So this will be through this month, 2024. So again, this is the tail end of the term.
That's.
And then, so again, we have, it representative of the things that have been completed, on the action plan, or the work plan, I should say, sorry. And then we will be creating a new work plan beginning in, October. Last year, we took October and November to finalize the work plan. It was roughly a 2-month process, to finalize what the work plan should be. And that would be through September 2025. So at this point, it should be looking to make sure that the work plan is comprehensive and represents what has been completed, or things that maybe potentially need to be carried over into the next work plan for conversation in October. But that's kind of where the review should be.
The work plan. is tentative. And these are the domains. Oh. What,
WHO,
yeah,
age friendly,
age friendly.
livability, yeah.
I don't know if it's appropriate, maybe, senior transportation at this point. Jamie, am I out of order?
So if there is something that needs to be adjusted, so the work plan itself, you can bring up any of the different areas on the work plan. We may not be able to have a robust discussion, and that maybe potentially could be agendized. But is there something specific on transportation?
Investigating the cessation roadworks. And I have at least left a message with John Cohen, Cowan, who is in community services. Find out why this was dropped. In its place is a Lyft service with a $3 surcharge paid by the passenger. Also paying for the Lyft, whatever it is. I don't know, other than the fact that it seemed that they were having problems getting volunteer drivers.
Wasn't the case.
I think that this is more an economics. Your ponytail's going back and forth.
Yeah.
I see what it is if you're talking about that, you can agendize it for discussion.
So I just wanted to let people know and ask permission to identify myself when I speak with the gentleman who is running the bus line. with others. May I identify myself as a member of the senior commission?
The only challenge that I could see, Bill, is that you are currently, so that isn't a project or task that's been identified by the senior commission yet. And then the only other thing is that you haven't necessarily been identified as an ad hoc subcommittee, which you wouldn't be able to be on because you're still on the task force through December of this year.
Identified as a position.
So if you did outreach, not necessarily, it just on your own, you absolutely could, but specifically through the senior commission, absolutely, there would be a little bit more limitation on that. Because it's not been a specific identified task on the work plan. And then we haven't necessarily created an ad hoc subcommittee.
So you can't say you serve on the senior commission, but you're speaking,
Correct,
yes, on your own.
correct.
You make that clear,
Yes.
If I need leverage.
but you
and
can't say
call upon City council.
as an individual, I can speak with you.
Anyway,
What you do tell them is that we're looking at putting this on our agenda for action, then, you know, but I'm speaking as an individual. You get the
Okay.
waive without the commitment legally.
And so.
you sound like a man. Developing relationships, no commitment.
And so timing wise, this would, I think it would make sense that, that could be something that could be considered to be added to the work plan in the next cycle.
It's already listed as improved senior transportation
Yeah.
options.
Yes, so we can be a little bit more specific that we can get more information or that's specific to road runners or a suitable replacement program or something like that. So we could be a little bit more specific because you know, improving resource options is, you know, is a little bit broad. We could be a little bit more specific if we want to.
Also, I think, if you don't mind, you can say you'd like to learn more about why that program is eliminated or. And you would like to understand it, and you may be taking a position whether you would like to send in a letter encouraging, you know, taking a position to send in a position letter as well, because sometimes you, as you find out more, then you may wanna, as a commission, send a letter one way or another.
It may surprise people hearing this. But and a modicum of truth.
The thing is, it has to be, in order for us, for us to have a letter coming from the commission, it would have to already be on this. We can't add it today. Is that what you're
Can add it
saying?
to next month's agenda.
Okay, but it's gonna be a new work plan starting next month. We're gonna start a new work, so we have to put that on for next month. Can we agendize it for that, to discuss it?
Specific to road,
We don't want it to let it drop.
Specific
So
to transportation.
if we keep these categories for next time. Because we still don't.
so just a clarifying question, what is it that you want the agenda topic to be?
Want to
Discuss the various domains, age friendly certification.
Specific to road runners.
transportation.
Well, transportation,
Yeah, but you're not identifying road runners as a target topic.
from.
Yeah, so
I think it's just a question of whether or not
Yes.
you're in favor of a vendor or in favor of a program. If Lyft has replaced Roadrunner as a vendor, it's, you're looking at a whole different ballgame. So I think you have to address this issue at a higher level. And then as a subset of that, we can look at the.
Well, let's just start with what happened. What happened that the program ceased.
Okay,
Well, the community input before it happened, it just happened. They just announced that that was it. And the community's not happy at all. That's what it is.
So looking at the best way to bring this forward, so the work plan is going to be on the agenda, but that's going to be more general to create this template for the commission to determine what projects or tasks that they would like to accomplish. And again, this is going to be a living document because we've added as we went along in those particular areas. We do want to be a little bit more specific. So if it is
Making it specific to road runners. And improving senior transportation. Or more specifically, where is this senior transportation?
I think we get into the
No, and so the only thing that, at least logistically speaking, is that, again, this would be a perfect. I think it's more of just a timing, because we do have commissioners that are terming out going into October. We will have new commissioners. The other commissioners that we currently have are already tied up in an ad hoc subcommittee. So as like assigning someone to say, getting that information, presenting that information. That is, again, because I think with the exception of Commissioner Basigi and Commissioner Dixit, those are the only two commissioners who are not currently on an ad hoc subcommittee.
Actually, what happens is you can agendize it. And when people see it on the agenda, people might want to come and speak to make you aware of the issue. And that's why, because that's your role as a commission, is to understand issues in the community. And if they are aware that this is something that you are interested in learning about, and they can provide input and encourage you to take action on a matter, you might want to hear what they have to say.
How would you, if you were going to recommend wording of this? I'm ready to take dictation.
So we could get it on the agenda, what
Just get it on
format
the
would it go
agenda.
on the agenda, because it's apparently it can't go on in the work plan.
Yeah, you don't.
It would have to be called out specifically as an agenda topic.
Yeah,
A separate topic.
Agenda topic addressing transportation.
Seniors. Transportation options, simple as that, and then we can look at the whole gamut of things that relate to transportation as options. And then decide whether an option is. And I finish?
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you, I appreciate that, I don't interrupt you, I appreciate you don't interrupt me. So I think what we need to do is get to a point where we agree on the heading of the topic that we are going to discuss next meeting. And that heading is very simple, and the more general it is, the better it is. You don't want to get into deep specifics at this point. That way it allows us to address multi dimensions of this issue, and then decide what the alternatives are for each, and then come up with a solution. And if that solution extends beyond one area, and if it requires a subcommittee, so be it. You can assign a subcommittee. Am I wrong? I mean,
Well, you don't want to make it too broad, because if you make.
I'm not making it broad, I'm simply transportation for seniors. And then we can decide what that entails. Right now, we are right now discussing a vendor A versus vendor B. To me, that's too specific for this topic at this point in time to be conclusive. Vendor A versus Roadrunner versus Lyft. Lyft, is that really the issue? Or is the issue something a little bigger than that? I mean, I may be wrong.
It's not deciding on various vendors, it's the impact of the loss of the roadrunner. And I think if you identify something like that, people will know, oh, I'd like to speak to that item. Do you understand? Like if you make it so broad as just saying, oh, transportation options, people won't say, I'm gonna come and speak to the senior commission to let them know how it's impacted me.
Okay, very good point.
So something like
The residents of Los Altos.
the impact of losing roadrunners or seniors.
I believe this could be the word study on that, Jamie. Love it to be on the agenda.
Maintaining
So,
adequate senior transportation.
so taking into at least all of the pieces that the commissioners and Councilmember Lee Ing has brought up. we want to find, I would say a happy in between, because again, we do need to specify what the discussion is going to be on. And it sounds like you do want it to be part of the items for consideration so that you could potentially take action. So it does need to be a little bit more specific so that it's a very, people know what they're coming to have the conversation on, but at the same time, it's not as far as, because Roadrunners was, so I guess what I'm looking at is what is the action or what is the end result that you're looking for? Are you looking to get feedback from the just the community? Are you looking to maybe potentially, because Roadrunners wasn't necessarily a program through the city. You know, what is going to be the kind of the next steps, or is it just to hear that feedback to include it for? What result are you looking?
Maintaining senior transportation options.
That's much more, that's much.
So
more-
you're looking to have a discussion on maybe what those alternative resources might be.
That's a lot better, in my view.
Okay, because no, it adds some specificity, but allows you to have that conversation. So I just wanted to make sure I had a good understanding of what you were trying to achieve.
That's a good topic then.
So then, yes, we can go ahead and.
Yeah, we did, but
I like to say something. You know, the essence of it to me is that the thing that keeps coming up as an important issue for seniors is the lack of opportunities, the lack of different opportunities for transportation around the town and around the towns. So to have a huge program like that eliminated had a major impact on the community. Because it hit the whole the whole district of El Camino Hospital, which is more than Mountain View and Los Altos. It's Sunnyvale, it's part of Cupertino, it's huge. So, you know, the fact that they completely eliminated it, you know, what are these people doing? I mean, it's a concern. In light of the fact that we need more transportation, more flexibility, different type of programs, and they just cut out a whole giant program that we need. So I think we need to get the oomph into that. I don't know how we can, but can we put something else that's a little bit, you know, stronger?
May I?
In what regard?
Yeah, my feeling is that if we don't really know the specifics of why this particular vendor or program was eliminated. It could be because the program was no longer viable. It could be because there were some financial issues involved, like they're asking for too much money. Any number of these issues. Until we understand the full extent of all the issues involved, we cannot really make a priori judgment and call for, you know, we are all for restoring the program. So that may not work. So my feeling is that if you make a topic of this, just like we've discussed now, and get into the detail of it. I mean, Kevin and I did a bit of work on this stuff a couple of years ago or so. So we can get back into that. Discover it, find out why is it that vendor A has been selected like Lyft. Notwithstanding a $3 surcharge, but why is that because vendor A has sustainability? If that's what we're looking for, so you know we have to dig into that and then ultimately come up with a proposal to the whole commission and approve it and then move it on to whoever is next level up in the hierarchy, city council or whatever. Is that not true? I mean, that's. Right. Position. Yeah.
Speak to it, because.
I'm sorry,
Speak up.
I can speak to the issue as a physician who practiced here in the community for 35 years.
And so, you know, with wearing my surgical.
And how important
No.
that was for your clients to get to you, your patients to get to services. That's the issue, it's bringing them back and forth from medical care.
I think I could probably obtain the necessary information.
I think it was both.
I think it's hidden, I think it's gonna be early.
I think that I am indefatigable when it comes to finding out answers.
I would suggest that we come
Okay,
to
so
Chase and
can you restate-
agendize it.
Yeah.
Can you-
this is-
can you
this is
restate-
swirling around.
Yeah, you can state what you wanted to say, Jamie, and then we'll just go on, and we're gonna vote, we're gonna say that motion and vote on it. Go ahead.
No, so you don't,
need to?
no, because there is consensus among the
Okay.
commission to have that as an agenda item, because we need at least three. So one commissioner to suggest and two supporting, and there is definitely that support on the commission. And so at least from what I am hearing is that the request is to have an agenda item to discuss alternative resources for transportation for seniors. And so that I think we can include information that Commissioner Buckholz gets, and then we can look at what other options might potentially be available.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on.
Although I think that people would like to know that if you were gonna talk about the loss of Roadrunner, it should be made clear, because then this would allow you to take an opportunity to write a letter or something in case they would encourage you to write a letter encouraging El Camino Hospital. The way you've written the agenda doesn't allow you to do that. And I think I've been hearing from the community as well, they're concerned about the loss of such a program, and if you're trying to address that as well, that's not how it's worded, that they would come to speak to you about it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if the agenda comes out with what the general thing that Jamie's suggesting, the public, because it's gonna go out to the public on Thursday before the meeting, they're not gonna know we're gonna be discussing Roadrunners, right?
But the point is, Dr. Buckholz brought it up because he wanted to address a program that was the loss of that program impacted our communities. And isn't that what you wanted, Dr. Buckholz? Don't get me wrong, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but also I think that people would like to come and speak to you about it.
It's very general, we've talked about, transportation opportunities for, that's been an agenda item more or less for 5 years, 7 years. Maybe a parenthetical phrase,
It's been a
loss of
work plan.
Roadrunner program, as a parenthetical phrase added.
You can use it as an example, yeah.
AG,
Yeah.
Roadrunners program.
So my suggestion, because again, at least the topic that we talked about is, again, talking about alternative resources. If we want to specify that, with the loss of Roadrunner program, looking at alternative resources, we could. If
Maintaining resources.
we could do that. I guess to the other point, if you wanted to specify, because again, the intent of that topic is to look at alternative resources, not necessarily addressing. So if, as Councilmember Lee Ing mentioned, and I guess outside of that conversation, if the commission decided that they wanted to do a letter, that should be a separate topic, and not rolled into that conversation as far as alternative resources. From that conversation, and so it wouldn't necessarily be at the next meeting. If you talk about alternative resources, you could then come to, if there was support among the commission to say, we feel very strongly that we would like to see an alternative to Roadrunners, or we want to better understand, that would then be a separate topic. Does that make sense? Where you would then, if the commission were to say, we want to write a letter, we want to approached El Camino or something like that, that would be something different than that topic that we just talked about, which was to find alternative resources.
Citizen tax.
So are we comfortable with
Yes.
that wording?
I'm happy.
Thank you. Let's move along. Informational items. The next item is age friendly, receive an update from staff.
So there is not too much on this one, but there will be a much larger topic, so, obviously, the task force will be, receiving the, draft first, and that will be towards the tail end of this month. Basically September, late September. And then it is planned to come before the senior commission in the first meeting in October, which is October 7th. And then pass that, once we get feedback from the task force, get feedback from the commission. All of that will be incorporated before it is, brought forward to city council. So, there is not too much to update, except that the, myself and Anne and the graphic designer are hard at work finalizing the draft before it's presented to the task force and then to the senior commission in October. But open to any questions if there is anything that we're kind of in a holding pattern until it goes forward to the task force and then the commission.
Anybody have any questions? Perfect. I think you're good. The next thing are the flyers.
So, okay, and so I will start and specify the ones specifically, the general ones for Los Altos, and then I'll pass it over to Chris for some of the specific ones for the adult 50+ program. And then Amina Seta from Los Altos Hills is on virtually, so she might be able to specify the ones for Los Altos Hills as well. So I will go ahead and start with the first one. So Family Fun Days, there is a flyer in there. We have 2 upcoming, one in time for October and Halloween. That will be planned for October 26th. And then Winter Wonderland in December on December 14th. Those are always held here at the community center. It is always a community favorite. We usually get anywhere from 500 to 700 individuals from the community to enjoy the event. It is completely free, and it usually occurs in the 10 to 1 time frame here at the community center. And then also, further into the flyers, we do have our Kinder Prep program, which will be occurring to the San Antonio Club. There are still spaces available, so if you know of someone that might be interested in this type of program. The program actually did just start last week, at the day after Labor Day, and so again, if there is interest, we do still have space. And again, it is Monday through Thursday plus Adventure Day out at the San Antonio Club. And then the other flyers that were included as well, is our hiring flyer. These are full-time. There are some specifics to the police department, but part-time, we are still looking for support in our pickleball program out at Egan Gym, specifically for the adult 50+ program. Our teen program, the Juniper space here at the community center, and then facility attendants to assist with those various programs. So if you know anyone who is looking for part-time work, please feel free to forward this flyer, or if they want more information about the positions themselves, they can always reach out to Seth and we can provide more information. But with that, I'll turn it over to Chris so he can highlight some of the adult 50 flyers.
Jamie, good afternoon. Inside your packet, you'll see a bocce ball and social, which is coming up next Thursday here at the center.
2 weeks, 2 weeks.
Not this Thursday, but next Thursday. Just celebrating the beautiful amenity that you have here at your community center, and we'll be supporting that with treats and various program resources available to those who attend. Also coming up in the next several weeks is an L50 plus mini trip. We'll be going to the Hiller Aviation Museum and have a lunch outing. Also in the packet, this fall is the Wally Cultural Exchange celebration. That'll be here in the Grand Oak Ballroom. Performances, music, and a general celebration of Wally. I will also share the previously mentioned, discussed, healthcare flyer is also in the packet.
And then, Amina, did you want to talk about the Los Altos Hills specific flyers?
Yeah, definitely. I think what you have in front of you is the Hoedown flyer, which actually happened this weekend. So that one already passed. And then the second one is the drive-through shred event. That event is exclusive to Los Altos Hills residents, but basically what happens is in town hall, in our parking lot, we have a big truck that comes, and basically it's just a drive-through where residents line up in the parking lot in their car, and then staff will open their trunk, remove boxes of paper, and then place it in the truck for it to get shredded. And that is from, I believe, 8 a.m. to 11, and it is on September 21st. And then on September 28th, we have our annual Touch a Truck event, which is happening at Gardner Bullis. We had that last year as well, and Gardner Bullis seemed to be a better place to host the event. It fit more trucks, so basically, the ambulance comes, the fire truck, police cars, we have our tractors come, and it's a great opportunity for kids to really connect with the community and, you know, explore some of their favorite trucks. And I think that's it.
Let me speak up. There's no attendance thing, like wherever you live, show up. And I tell you, that Touch a Truck thing is so much fun.
It's actually the
Yes.
shred event we do that.
I don't know about the shred event. I can't
That's
promise that.
Oh, no, the shred event, as Amina mentioned, is specific to the Los Altos Hills residents.
Right.
But
Yes.
the Touch a Truck, I don't think there's necessarily
Anybody show.
anyone, if that's.
Yes, correct.
Before it would be.
Yeah, so they have so much fun.
Yeah.
Are there any questions or additional information needed for the flyers that were presented?
Thank you. Okay, the next, number 6, Age Friendly Task Force Ad Hoc Subcommittee.
If there is a report, if not,
We
that is
have,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
The next one's Dome 50 Programming Ad Hoc Subcommittee. Is anything, there's nothing new. There was no report for that.
No.
Okay, staff oral reports.
The only additional thing that I add is our activity guide, our fall activity guide again is currently out at all the different locations. If you haven't gotten one, please feel free to grab one. It covers all of the classes and events that are going to be happening through December. Registration is open and classes are just starting now. So if you are interested in checking out anything that will be happening this fall, please grab one of those activities.
Thank you.
One minor question, may not be relevant. What is happening to the coffee club here?
It is in progress. It is in progress. And so we are currently working on getting the design of the space, because again, it has not been built out per se for a vendor to, you know, immediately move in. So we are working on those details. Once we get some more definitive timeline, I will bring an update to the senior commission.
It's really important because of the seniors. Further on, they go to the senior center, or the cars are not lining up or whatever. It'd be nice to have it refreshment. Thank you.
Absolutely. And
What's the street vendor we've identified,
Oh, you have me on.
So,
haven't we? We have, right?
yes.
You know, Nelson.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's
is
just
it
on
gonna
that,
be a
yes.
bigger space than that little room over there?
We're going to.
So we did do an RFP process. And so we did, did an open competitive process for vendors that were interested. We are currently working with the vendor on what that space should look like for them to come in. And then that will come forward to city council. And obviously at that point, then it will be, no. There will absolutely be options, and that was part of the process to find out what elements and obviously drinks, coffee included, and snacks will absolutely be something that is planned for the space.
The future agenda items?
Yes, so work plan will remain, and then I have specified the health fair for November. And then we will add the topic for transportation as well for October. Are there other items that need to be considered? And it doesn't necessarily have to be for the next meeting, it could be for a future meeting as well.
I missed the first part of the meeting. Are we going to discuss the transition, the commissioner's transition?
Yes, and so there will most likely, depending on when we find out who has been appointed, it could be October, it could be November, depending on when they're sworn in and selected. So that will, staff will absolutely work to add that appropriately once we know that.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome to.
Correct.
I'll do it at the beginning. Yeah. Okay. And then the, bringing back the calendar, you're not gonna do that for the next meeting, you're gonna wait till November, you're gonna do that in November.
Correct, and then the November, since there is no meeting in December, November is the month that we would approve 2025's calendar of meetings as well.
Is there anything else that we have pending? You were gonna let us know though about that,
Correct.
but that's not really gonna be too late to be on the agenda. Okay, anyway, anybody else have anything that they want to? Okay, thank you all for coming, meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
So Chris,